Yes. New ramblings, and I'm quickly going to ramble on about wetlands. Wetlands sort of first came to my attention after reading the IPBES Global Assessment, where they said that already since the 1700s we've lost 87% of wetlands in the world. That's more than any other ecosystem, and at the moment we're losing over 1% of them a year. Wetlands are basically anything where the water covers the soil. They may sound insignificant, but this is exactly what has led to their demise, with people often undervaluing them and draining them to produce more agricultural land. Really, they're a massive pool for biodiversity, acting as a spawning ground for fish and an incredible habitat for birds. But unfortunately, 1/4 of the biodiversity which lives here is at threat with extinction. They also play a great part for us with water management practices, flood prevention, and the sequestration of carbon from the atmosphere. It's really something we should be looking after. And here I am in Moldova. A trip through Romania brought me here, where I met up with the Biotica Ecological Society, the group that's responsible for the research, management and rehabilitation of the wetlands here in Moldova. Moldova has an incredibly extensive hydrological network of over 16,000 kilometres, and this means that they have some amazing wetlands and historically some of the best topsoil in the world. This meant that agriculture was their thing, and now over 2/3 of the land is designated to this. But this means that there's only 9% of forest cover, and with 95% of these pastures degraded, it means that the wetlands to them are essentially like what the Amazon is to Brazil. To create this expanse of agricultural pastures, as I said, all this wetlands just got drained. And we were talking to a guy who was pointing out that this whole area, which was now agricultural pastures, was once flooded and full of plants and animals, so different to what you would find there today. We were in the Low Niester Basin, one of 3 Ramsar sites in Moldova. Ramsar is the Convention on the Protection of Wetlands, and the Low Niester Basin is the primary sort of contribution Moldova has to this global effort. I mean, the area was so rich in flora and fauna that even the Ottomans protected it back in the day. And this is why they're trying to turn it into a national park. The plan Biotica have put forward to manage these areas is remnant of any land management plan, an area of strict protection surrounded by a buffer zone which requires restoration and rehabilitation to really support that core area. Rehabilitation is already underway, with trees being planted all over the place, trying to build up 15 metres of thick vegetation on either side of the riverbanks in order to reduce erosion and sort of balance out the evaporation deficit, which alongside water management practices, which Biotica is also helping to do, should really help give that ecosystem the boost it needs to give the water to the biodiversity which lives within. The value of the wetlands is undeniable, and people say that it's worth about 10 million euros a year in this area alone through the sort of provision it provides. I was taken into the field by Petru Vinori, an incredible young man who's decided he wants to dedicate his life to this. He feels that the work they're doing should really start to make positive changes for everyone in the country. I mean, they made a river run again which hadn't for 20 years, and a local man had exclaimed how good this has been for the local area and restoring the flora and fauna that he knew once lived there. Petru really believes also that through managing these wetlands properly, they will also help to restore those fertile soils which Moldova is most famous for. I mean, yeah, that's a lot to take in. I appreciate that. But if you're going to take something away from this, just remember that already we've lost 87% of these wetlands, more than any other ecosystem on Earth. And if we don't do something about it, then these are just going to cease to exist. So I guess love your wetlands, love the biodiversity which lives within them, and do everything you can to try and protect them. Ramblings out.